Alberta, let's take a moment, y'all. Let's take a moment. Let's watch this. There he is. There he is. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, yeah.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. And Justin Trudeau's career could possibly be coming to an end if what we saw this weekend is a tale of the times. I mean, when it comes to Alberta, we're going to get into a little bit of what Justin Trudeau thinks of Alberta and everything that he's claimed that Alberta is, and why maybe things weren't going his way as he made a stop in Alberta over the weekend. But the writing really is on the wall when it comes to Justin Trudeau and when it comes to, well, what legacy, I guess you could say, he's leaving behind. Now, in the history books, usually if you're going to lead a country, you want to pass good policies, you want to set a good example so that when people discuss your tenure leading a country, people have fond recollections of you trying to solve problems or make lives better for your constituents and your country. However, when it comes to Justin Trudeau, all that's going to be left on his slate when he eventually is either removed from office or resigns from office is that he was a prime minister who divided his nation. He was a prime minister who locked his people down. He was a coward who hid behind his house while people protested. He was somebody who mocked and made fun of people for not sharing his beliefs. He was a man who possibly had a hand speculatively in helping burn down our forests to push climate change. The list could go on and on. Blackface, how can we forget that? That's going to be another one. And we're going to get into what happened this weekend with Justin Trudeau. But just before, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to the channel, I hope this video earns your subscription. I hope that you guys are enjoying the content here on the channel. Of course, our channel is not sponsored in any way, but if you do feel inclined to help out the channel, go check out our merch store. There is a link down below in the description. Our store is also pinned right below the video as well, with items that you can purchase. Our new Conspiracy Theorist shirt is now available, and as you can see, we have a wide assortment of shirts, hoodies, women's clothes, men's clothes, and even mugs, which a lot of people have been telling me they're really happy to order and looking forward to. I know the people that we have set up to order those through do a really good job. The quality is really good, and it does support the channel, and everything this channel makes, of course, because we don't take on sponsors of this channel, goes back into the channel. So support is always appreciated, but not required. Again, I'm happy everybody comes here to share their time and watch what little old me has to say about what's going on in the country. But let's get back to good old Skippy and what's going on. Now, over the weekend, Justin Trudeau made a pit stop in Alberta to meet with Premier of the Northwest Territories, Miss Cochrane. He also sat down in a private meeting with Edmonton woke mayor Amarjeet Sohi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, then I apologize. And he also did a few other things, and I wanted to kind of get into that because it led up to a speaking engagement that Justin Trudeau was having in the province. Now, Trudeau had been advertising for quite some time that he was going to do a speaking engagement. He had one prior in Vancouver, where he was charging, I believe it was $1,700 per plate for people to come in and hear him speak. And possibly, I'm not sure whether he met with people or not. I don't know the ins and outs of what went on in these places because there's not a lot of detail online aside from what the rooms looked like. And we're going to get into that. But first, I wanted to get into this article from good old liberal paid media CTV, because they really try to dress up what happened. While we all know Trudeau likes to play dress up, as they try to make it look like it was such a great trip for him to come out and that he spent his Saturday in Alberta. He spends his Saturday in Edmonton and stops to celebrate Pride. Is it just me? Am I out of the loop? It wasn't Pride in June. People keep telling me now it's a season, it's all year, I don't know what's going on anymore with Pride. I thought this was already done with and over with. But of course, Trudeau is not bashful of hanging around Pride parades. I wonder if people were properly dressed at this one. But I kind of wanted to get into this article just because of what he claims before going to this $1,000 a head fundraiser for the Liberal Party, where again they charged $1,000, but I heard it was $1,700 in other places. But the information I have for Alberta was that it was $1,000. But he spent Saturday in the Alberta capital. He attended several events in Edmonton, including a pit stop at the Edmonton Pride Festival. Prime Minister was in the city to meet with Northwest Territories Premier Caroline Cochrane to discuss future federal support for the territory, including infrastructure and preparing the North for a changing climate. I'm sure he wanted to talk about climate change and how we can pay more carbon taxes to change the weather. Of course, they spoke briefly. He met with Mayor Sohi. The meeting was closed to the public, as well as no details were offered on what the pair were to discuss. Of course, they're probably talking about the arson that's going on and their nefarious plans for how they're going to lock everybody down coming up into the fall when they claim that a new COVID variant's out. It's going to be interesting to see. But it says here that the Prime Minister also stopped by Churchill Square in Edmonton to show his support for the alphabet community, and Trudeau shared the stage with local politicians on the final day of the Edmonton Pride Festival, along with his daughter Ella Grace. Now, here's what I wanted to touch on. Quote, I wanted her to see just how extraordinary, vibrant, exciting, hospitable, and wonderful Edmonton and Alberta really is, he told the crowd. Now, why does he like Edmonton so much? Well, Edmonton, of course, votes very NDP. They vote very left. They're left-leaning. But when he says how great and hospitable and wonderful Alberta and Edmonton really is, well, it doesn't make any sense, because if we look at the past for Trudeau, this article came from November of 2012. Sorry for comments he said were aimed at Stephen Harper. Now, this, of course, was when Justin Trudeau was aiming to take leadership of the Liberal Party before he ran for his seat in 2015. But this is I wanted to get into what he said in this interview. He said that Canada wasn't doing well because, quote, it's Albertans who control our community and socio-demographic agenda. So he said further on in this interview, well, we'll play the comment of what he says here in a Vancouver press conference back in 2012.
Have, in some ways, just shown that you're talking about the ability to unite the country. I'm just wondering if you could respond to that in both official languages.
Look, I'm sorry I said what I did. I was wrong to relate the area of the country that Mr. Harper is from with the people who live there, and with the policies that he has that don't represent the values of most Canadians. It was wrong to use a shorthand to say Alberta when I was really talking about Mr. Harper's government, and I'm sorry I did that.
So, of course, he apologizes because this is before King Justin took control of the country and used his narcissistic ways to push every little belief that he has. The problem here is that he's been in interviews long before he went for the Liberal candidacy where he talked bad about Alberta. And, of course, we can't forget this little ditty back in Canada Day, 2017. I'm a little embarrassed, Justin Trudeau says, as he forgets Alberta in his Canada Day speech. This was when he said, we may be of every color and creed from every corner of the world, Trudeau said. We may live in British Columbia, Yukon, Northwest Territories, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nunavut, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Labrador. But we embrace that diversity while knowing in our hearts we are all Canadians. Now, this was during the 150th celebration of Canada. Of course, when you start in British Columbia, you're basically going, like you can see as he goes through his speech here, he's basically going from province to province in terms of left to right, if you were looking at a map. So British Columbia, but then he jumps up to Yukon, Northwest Territories, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nunavut, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Labrador. So I don't really buy the BS he's selling that he forgot Alberta. It's no secret that Trudeau hates Alberta. And that's what I found so funny about this speech, that, I wanted to show my daughter how great Edmonton and how hospitable Alberta is. This guy doesn't care about Alberta. He's shut down our oil and gas. He's flooded us with all these carbon taxes and time after time. I mean, he comes to the Calgary Stampede. He shows up to spout his divisive rhetoric. And for what reasons, I don't know, because we don't even have a Liberal candidate running. in Calgary, and as far as I know, in Alberta for federal politics. Unless I know at one point we didn't recently, so maybe we do now. I'm not sure, but nobody wants to take it. But of course, the big joke is when Trudeau went to his $1,000 plate fundraiser, and this is, well, I'll let the video speak for itself. We had this video in our in the intro, of course, and you can see very sparsely populated. Now, one could argue this is, of course, before the event. You can see people moving their chairs in there. But Rowan, of course, pointing out another photo during which you can see everybody here. I believe the attendance numbers were really down. Let's take a look at the comments, because this is the funny part, is that Justin Trudeau would show up in Alberta, again, where he has zero support, charging $1,000 a plate. Now, I made a joke on Twitter that I should have tried to crowdfund $1,000 to go, so that I could try and get him a selfie with him with my book, How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. Now, again, I think it would have been funny, but it was merely a joke. I certainly wouldn't want to waste anybody's money, let alone my own, to give to the Liberal Party of Canada for a photobomb. It's unreal that he would think he'd have any kind of support in a riding in Alberta. And this photo shows it. It shows his support. When you look at Pierre Poilievre's numbers, when he just does a rally, let alone, it's kind of reminiscent of Hillary versus Trump, or Biden versus Trump in terms of volume. You know, Trump has sold out stadiums packed to the brim, whereas Biden has a few hundred people. It's going to be interesting to see how the next election goes. Canadians want leadership, not some deadbeat blathering, ethics breaching, gaslighting, corruption of Parliament bordering on criminal, overtaxing, faux weather propagandist who bears no responsibility, blaming Poilievre or Mr. Harper. Wow, what a mouthful, and I couldn't agree more. Can almost guarantee that the few people you see are either representatives of lucrative Trudeau Liberal contracts or flown in from out east. If this was what Pierre Poilievre and his Conservative Party, it would be a standing room only filled with ordinary Canadians. We are ready. Of course, you can see down here a picture of Trudeau taking the mic at this event, and again, not a lot of heads in front of the camera. So I'm willing to bet that room stayed pretty empty as the event carried on. Only 100 people showed up at the Edmonton Convention Center. Wow, that must have been embarrassing for Justin. They should have offered double the crickets on your plate. I can't find anyone I know in this massive crowd of people. I don't know what I'm going to do. What a joke. That's friends of immediate friends there. Flop indeed. How old was the average attendee? It's hard to imagine why even those people would waste $1,000 on that. And again, that gets back to what I was saying about the joke of actually going to that event, to either photobomb Justin Trudeau or even attempt to mouth him off. But again, $1,000 I certainly wouldn't want to waste in any form for the Liberal Party of Canada, because they're a joke. And we've seen what a joke they are as Justin Trudeau comes in to the city of Edmonton. But let me know down below in the comments what you guys think. Are we going to see similar events like this? Are we going to see the support that Justin needs out east this time around? If in fact an election comes our way, I don't think we're going to see one this fall. There's rumor again floating around that the spring, but you know, when summer started, there was rumor of a fall, and now fall's starting and they're talking about spring. Who knows what's going to happen? It's really up in the air once Parliament sits down. And when we see what kind of scandals we get to unearth as Parliament goes back in after the long weekend, it's going to be interesting. But again, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to our small fringe minority, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell for notifications. We do go live every Sunday, aside from long weekends, where we do the weekly wrap and sit with the community, talking about everything that's gone on, everything that's going to happen in the week coming, as well as have some Q&A with the community and fun little hangouts. So make sure to come out, join us. It's a lot of fun to see new folks there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video again. I'll catch you on the next one.